I remember the day I decided I had to learn English. I was not 15, not even 20. I was 35. Most people around me thought it was too late. Why bother now, they said. You are old to start learning. Their words were like small stones thrown into my mind. I almost believed them. But something inside me whispered, it's never too late if you are ready to try. I started slowly. I had no books, no fancy teacher, just a phone and my own determination. I told myself one sentence at a time. That was all I needed. I began with tiny phrases. In the morning, I would say to myself, good morning, just that. Not complicated, just a habit of speaking. At first, my words sounded awkward. I would stumble, pause, repeat. Good morning, good morning. I laughed at myself. I wanted to quit, but I remembered why I started. I wanted to open doors that English could unlock. I wanted to watch movies without subtitles, to speak with confidence, to feel the world was not far away. I created small daily challenges, one sentence each hour. I would walk around my home and speak aloud. I am learning English. I am getting better. Silly? Maybe. But repetition builds strength. I started noticing something magical. My brain began to remember. Words that seemed impossible to say suddenly came out naturally. Everywhere became my classroom. The kitchen, the street, the market. I asked simple questions in English. How much is this? What time is it? Where is the bus station? At first, people smiled politely, trying to understand me. I didn't care. I smiled back and tried again. Practice does not require perfection. One day, I made a list of phrases that I needed for daily life. I am hungry. I am tired. Can I help you? I like this. I don't understand. I wrote them on sticky notes and placed them all over my house. On the bathroom mirror, I can do this. On the fridge, I am learning English. On the door, I will speak today. Every note was a whisper of courage, a push forward. I found a friend who was patient. We would talk for 10 minutes each day in English. Just 10 minutes. Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. And you? Small conversations. At first, awkward. At first, slow. But the key is consistency. 10 minutes every day builds more than hours, once in a while. I also use my phone to listen. English songs, short videos, news clips. At first, I understood little. I listened again and again. I repeated the words. Good morning. Thank you, sorry, excuse me. I realized language is not only in books, it lives in voices, in rhythm, in listening. When I watched movies, I paused often. I repeated sentences aloud. I am happy to see you. What are you doing? I don't know. Each simple sentence was a step forward. Each repeated word made my tongue less heavy, my confidence lighter. I noticed my thinking also began to change. I stopped saying, it is too late. Instead, I said, it is never too late. I stopped comparing myself to young learners. I stopped measuring progress by others. I focused on myself, on my growth, on my journey. Sometimes I would record myself speaking. I would listen, cringe, laugh, and try again. I discovered mistakes are not enemies. They are teachers. I embraced every mispronounced word, every forgotten verb, every awkward pause. They were all proof that I was moving forward. One day, I realized I could understand a full English video without subtitles. I could answer simple questions. I could ask for help. Excuse me, can you show me the way? I don't understand. Please repeat. My heart swelled. The world suddenly felt bigger, warmer, reachable. I created a notebook of sentences. I called it my daily English. Each morning, I wrote 5 new sentences. I like tea. I am happy today. Where is the park? I want water. Thank you very much. Each sentence was small, but together they became a ladder. a ladder I could climb every day. I learned a secret. English is not about big words. It is about speaking, speaking often, speaking small, speaking without fear. Hello, my name is Muniba. I am learning English. I said it so many times I almost forgot it was once difficult. I practiced with strangers, at the market, at the bus stop, in shops. I asked simple questions. How much? Where is this? Can you help me? Some people corrected me. Some laughed gently. Some laughed gently. Some laughed gently. Some smiled. Each interaction was practice. Each mistake was improvement. I made flashcards with small words. Eat, drink, go, come, stop, wait, help. I carried them everywhere. In my pocket, in the car, on the bus. I would pick one and make a sentence aloud. I eat rice. I drink water. I go to school. Over time, the sentences became natural. I also spoke to myself in English when alone. I can do this. I am learning. I will speak today. My voice was my best teacher. The more I spoke, the more I remembered. The more I remembered, the more I believed. I joined small online groups where people practiced English together. No pressure, no shame. Just short messages, short audio recordings. Hello, my name is Muniba. Today I learned 3 new words. Each day I felt proud. Each day my fear faded. I realized learning English is not about speed. It is about patience, about showing up every day, about tiny victories. One day I said, I can understand this movie. I can speak to this stranger. And I could. I realized the impossible had slowly become possible. I also started reading small texts. Not novels, not difficult essays. Short stories, news headlines, small dialogues. The cat is on the roof. She is happy. He eats rice. Simple sentences. Simple words, but they taught me structure, order, meaning. I used repetition like magic. Every sentence I learned, I repeated 3 times. Then I used it in conversation. Then I wrote it down. Then I spoke it again. Repetition became my best friend. Words began to stick. Grammar began to feel natural. I found joy in little victories. I could order a meal without hesitation. I could ask directions. I could write a short email. Each small step was celebration. I realized that learning a language is not a race. It is a journey, and every small step counts. I discovered the power of observation, listening to how people speak, noticing patterns, gestures, pronunciation, mimicking gently, trying boldly. The world became my classroom. Every person, every conversation, every street, a teacher. I made learning playful. I sang songs aloud. I repeated movie dialogues. I told myself stories in English. Today I went to the market. I bought fruit. I am happy. My imagination helped my memory. My joy helped my practice. I understood mistakes are essential. I go to the market. I laughed. I corrected myself. I went to the market. I said it again and again. I realized laughing at myself is part of learning. Fear of embarrassment is the biggest enemy. I practiced gratitude in English. Thank you. I am happy. You are kind. Small words. Big feeling. Gratitude made English feel human, alive, warm. It made my words carry meaning, not just letters. Every day I built confidence. From tiny phrases to small conversations, to short messages, to understanding simple videos. I celebrated each milestone. I refused to say, I cannot. I replaced it with, I will try. I learned that learning English after 30, after 35, after 38 is not a disadvantage. It is a strength. I have patience, experience, perspective. I value each sentence. I cherish each mistake. I treasure each conversation. I so connected my learning with life. Every new word opened a new thought. Every new sentence opened a new connection. English was no longer a subject. It was a bridge to people, knowledge, ideas, and confidence. I never stopped practicing. One sentence every morning, one phrase every hour, one conversation every day. I learned small words first, simple sentences next, short conversations later, and slowly fluency grew. Not suddenly, slowly, gently, surely. I understood that age is just a number. Determination is the key. If I can make mistakes, laugh, repeat, try again, so can you. English is not about perfection, it is about persistence. And now, when I speak English, I remember the first day I said, "Good morning." I remember the fear, the hesitation, the awkward pauses. I smile. I know the journey is more beautiful than the destination. I know learning is never too late. You can start today. Start small. One sentence, one word, one conversation. Speak to yourself, speak to strangers, speak to the world. Practice anywhere, anytime. Repeat, correct, laugh, continue. Tiny steps every day lead to giant transformations. English is no longer a locked door for me. I have the key, and that key is consistency, patience, courage, repetition, and above all, the belief that it is never too late to start. If you start today, one day you will speak, you will understand, you will connect, you will look back and smile. Just as I do, as I did. Age is never a barrier, only fear is, and fear can be spoken away, one word at a time. So, pick a phrase, speak it aloud. I am learning English. Say it, repeat it, live it. One day you will speak without thinking. One day the world will feel smaller, warmer, reachable. And you will remember, you started when others said it was too late. But you proved it is never too late. After a few months, I noticed a change not just in my English, but in myself. I was no longer afraid to speak, no longer hesitant to try new things. Learning English had become more than words. It had become courage. Every time I said a sentence aloud, I reminded myself that I was brave. Sometimes I made mistakes in front of strangers. Once I asked a shopkeeper, "I want some breads," instead of "I want some bread." He laughed gently, and I laughed gently. That moment could have embarrassed me. But instead, I chose joy. I chose to laugh at my mistakes. Mistakes became my teachers, and teachers never made me feel small. I also learned to turn everyday situations into lessons. Waiting for a bus, I spoke to the driver. "What time is the next bus?" Cooking dinner, I read the recipe aloud in English, even if it was just chop the onions, boil water, add salt. Walking in the park, I describe what I saw. The tree is tall, the flowers are red, the bird is flying. Every moment became an opportunity to speak, to think, to learn. I started keeping a journal in English. At first, it was tiny sentences. "Today is sunny. I am happy. I walked to the market." But each day, I added one new word. "Today is sunny. I am happy. I walked to the market and bought fresh vegetables." Slowly, my sentences grew longer, my thoughts sharper. Writing made my speaking stronger. Writing made my speaking stronger. Writing gave me confidence. One day, a friend asked me, "Moniba, how do you speak English so confidently now?" I smiled. I didn't have a secret formula. I only had daily practice. I speak every day. I try every day. I am not afraid to make mistakes. Confidence comes from action, not from waiting for the perfect moment. I also learned that learning English is not just about speaking or listening, it's about thinking. I started thinking in English. When I woke up, I said, "Today I will learn. I will try new words. I will speak English." In the market, I described everything in my mind in English. This is a tomato. That is a basket. I am buying apples. Thinking in English made speaking natural. My mind slowly stopped translating from my first language. I started using apps, small videos and songs to help. I listened to English songs and sang aloud. Good morning, how are you? I paused videos to repeat lines. I mimic the voices. I did not like a subject in school, but like a friend and talking to me. Some days, my words felt stuck, my sentences broken. I would sit quietly, breathe, and remember why I started. I am learning. I am growing. I am capable. No failure can stop someone who keeps moving. No age can stop someone who believes. I also joined small speaking circles online. 10 minutes a day with strangers who are also learning. We laughed together. We stumbled together. We corrected each other gently. It was not perfect, but it was progress. Progress comes in tiny steps, not giant leaps. I realized repetition is magic. I repeated phrases 3 times, then used them in conversations. I am happy. I am learning. Can you help me? Small sentences, repeated often, build confidence. Small sentences, used daily, open doors. I practiced greetings everywhere. At the store, at the park, at the bus stop. Greetings became bridges to conversations. Small words became keys to connection. I also started noticing English in everyday life. Street signs, shop boards, messages on my phone. Even simple words, exit, push, stop, became lessons. I read them aloud, repeated them, remembered them. Learning English is about curiosity, about noticing, about being awake to words. I use sticky notes everywhere. On the door, I will speak today. On the fridge, I can do it. On the mirror, I am learning English. Words on paper became reminders in life. Each note was a small push forward, a whisper of encouragement. I never compared myself to others. Some people start young. Some people speak perfectly. I only measured myself by yesterday. Did I speak today? Did I try today? Did I learn something new today? Measuring progress by action, not by comparison, gave me freedom. I started small daily conversations with family. I am hungry. I want water. Can I help? They smiled, laughed, and encouraged me. Small phrases, small steps, but every step matters. Every word spoken builds courage. Every word spoken teaches confidence. I discovered another secret: speak with emotion. When I said, I am happy, I felt happy. When I said, I am tired, I really felt tired. Speaking English is not only words, it is emotion, feeling, expression. Words carry life. Words carry power. Words carry power, carry connection. I also learned to celebrate small victories. The first time I asked a stranger for help in English, I felt proud. The first time I understood a full video, I felt joy. The first time I wrote a small email, I felt achievement. Learning is full of tiny victories. Celebrate them. Each one is proof that you are moving forward. I learned that courage is louder than fear. Every time I said a sentence, no matter how small, I chose courage. I chose action over hesitation. I chose progress over perfection. Fear disappears when you act. Fear disappears when you speak. Fear disappears when you try. I started practicing short dialogues every day. Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. What is your name? My name is Muniba. Repetition made it easier. Speaking became natural. My tongue stopped hesitating. My mind stopped panicking. I used short stories to practice. The cat is on the roof. The boy is happy. The girl is reading. I read aloud. I repeated aloud. I imagined the story in my mind. Stories make learning alive. Stories make words stick. Stories make language memorable. I practice questions too. Where is the park? What is this? How much is it? Can you help me? Questions open conversations. Questions teach interaction. Questions give courage. Asking is learning. Asking is connecting. I realized learning English is a life skill, not only for communication, but for confidence, courage, connection, and opportunity. Every new word I learned opened a door. Every sentence I spoke built a bridge. Every conversation I tried strengthened my mind. I learned to speak slowly, not rushing, not worrying about mistakes. Speaking slowly gives clarity. Speaking slowly gives confidence. Speaking slowly shows thought. Speaking slowly teaches patience. I spoke to myself at night. I did well today. I learned new words. I spoke English. I am proud. Self-encouragement is powerful. Self-belief is stronger than any fear. Words you speak to yourself shape your reality. I also discovered the joy of teaching others. Whenever a friend asked me about English, I shared my simple tricks. Repeat words aloud. Speak every day. Don't fear mistakes. Teaching reinforced my learning. Teaching multiplied my confidence. And I never stopped listening. English is in voices, in songs, in conversations, in the world around us. Listen, repeat, speak. Listen, repeat, speak. Listen, repeat, speak. Every sound is a lesson. Every sentence is a gift. Every word is a step forward. I discovered the beauty of patience. Progress is not instant. Fluency does not come overnight, but small, consistent steps, repeated daily, bring transformation. Every day counts. Every sentence counts. Every effort counts. Now when I speak English, I smile at the journey. From the first good morning to full conversations, every moment taught me resilience. Every mistake taught me courage. Every word taught me hope. Learning English at 35 was not too late. Learning English at any age is never too late. If you start today, if you speak today, if you speak today, if you try today, the impossible becomes possible. One word, one sentence, one conversation at a time. Age is never the barrier. Fear is. And fear can be spoken away, slowly, gently, consistently, with courage and the belief that you can do it. After months of practice, I realized something amazing. Learning English had changed more than the words I spoke. It had changed how I saw myself. I no longer waited for permission to try. I no longer waited for the perfect time. Every moment became the perfect moment to speak, to learn, to grow. One afternoon, I was at the market. I saw a woman selling fruits, and I felt shy. But then I remembered. Courage is louder than fear. I walked up and said, "Hello, how are you?" "I want some apples." She smiled wanly. And in that moment, I understood. The world responds to bravery. Words are keys, but courage turns them. I started noticing small opportunities to practice everywhere. Waiting for a bus, I asked, "Is this bus going to the station?" At a cafe, I asked, "Can I have tea, please?" At home, I described my day aloud. Today, I cleaned the house. I cooked rice. I am tired but happy. Secrets of language learning are not hidden in long grammar rules or endless vocabulary lists. There is a method that can change the way you speak English forever, and it is simpler than most people think. Speaking English fluently is not about memorizing phrases or translating word by word in your head. Many people understand English perfectly when they read or listen, yet when it comes to speaking, words seem to vanish. This happens because the brain processes language differently when it hears and speaks at the same time. Today we are going to explore a method that taps directly into this natural process, a method where all you need to do is listen and repeat. It sounds almost too simple, but science shows that repetition and imitation are powerful tools for learning any language. You will discover how to train your brain and mouth to speak English in a more natural, confident way without feeling overwhelmed. By the end of this video, your English speaking will start feeling smoother, faster, and more fluent than ever before. We will break down exactly how to practice, what mistakes to avoid, and how a few minutes a day can lead to remarkable improvement. This is not a temporary trick or a shortcut that fails after a week. It is a technique that builds your speaking ability steadily and reliably. Along the way, you will learn lesser-known insights about language learning, how your brain mimics sounds, and why even small daily practice can create massive results over time. Many people underestimate the power of simple repetition, but researchers have shown that listening carefully and repeating aloud strengthens neural connections and improves pronunciation, intonation, and confidence all at once. We will also explore why common approaches like memorizing grammar rules or focusing too much on translation often slow progress instead of helping. The goal is to unlock the natural rhythm of English in your mind and mouth so you can speak with ease. As you follow this method, you will notice subtle changes at first. Words will come more quickly, sentences will form more easily, and speaking will feel less intimidating. It is fascinating how small daily actions, when done correctly, can lead to major improvements that feel almost effortless. You will also learn how to practice without pressure, without worrying about mistakes, and without feeling self-conscious. Confidence grows naturally when your brain starts associating sounds with speech patterns. This video is designed to guide you step by step, showing you exactly how to listen, repeat, and gradually improve your fluency in a way that feels natural. You will see that the process does not require hours of study or complicated techniques. Instead, it is about focused, deliberate practice, repeated consistently every day. You will learn how to focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation while keeping sentences simple and easy to imitate. We will also reveal how subtle changes in how you speak and repeat words can have a surprising effect on your ability to communicate clearly. Even if you feel stuck or frustrated, this method works for learners of every level, and you will start noticing progress much sooner than expected. Many English learners struggle because they try to speak perfectly from the start, but perfection is not necessary. Fluency comes from repeated exposure, listening carefully, and speaking aloud. You will also discover why listening is more important than reading alone, and how combining listening with speaking accelerates learning in ways textbooks cannot achieve. By watching this video until the end, you will gain practical tips and actionable steps that can be applied immediately, making every day a step closer to speaking English confidently. We will show you how to create simple daily exercises that take just a few minutes but build your fluency steadily, and how these exercises can fit easily into a busy schedule. You will also understand the psychological aspect of learning a language, why consistent repetition builds neural pathways, and why even a small effort each day multiplies over time to produce extraordinary results. You will learn how to train your ear to hear sounds accurately, your mouth to form words naturally, and your brain to connect the two in a smooth, automatic process. Listening and repeating is not just about copying sounds, it is about internalizing the language, feeling the rhythm, and letting your brain speak naturally. This method has been used by many successful language learners around the world, and now it is your turn to apply it. You will learn simple techniques to avoid common mistakes that slow progress, how to practice efficiently, and how to stay motivated, even if improvement seems slow at first. The secret lies in consistency and careful attention to pronunciation, stress, and intonation. As you follow this approach, your fluency will grow without you even realizing it. Every word you repeat becomes a building block for clearer, more confident speech. The best part is that you do not need to memorize long lists of vocabulary or complicated rules. Listening carefully and repeating aloud engages your mind in a way that traditional study cannot match. Today we will guide you through practical examples, explain the science behind the method, and help you take the first steps towards speaking English more naturally. You will feel the difference within days if you follow the steps carefully. This video will also uncover lesser-known facts about language learning, showing how your brain mimics sounds automatically, how repetition creates muscle memory in your mouth, and why short, focused practice works better than long, exhausting study sessions. You will understand why consistency is the key, and how small daily actions can lead to extraordinary improvements. By the end, you will have a clear plan to listen, repeat, and gradually speak English with confidence and clarity. You will also be motivated to start today because improvement is always closer than it seems. Every second spent listening and repeating brings you closer to fluency, and you will see progress in ways that feel natural and satisfying. Your brain is ready to learn if you give it the right kind of input, and repeating sentences aloud is exactly that input. It builds listening, speaking, and confidence all at once, and the results compound over time. Welcome to our channel, where we share simple and effective ways to improve your English every day. If you are ready to take the first step towards speaking confidently, subscribe now and join our community of learners. Turn on notifications so you never miss a tip that could change your English forever. This video will guide you step by step, making the process easy, clear, and achievable. Every moment you spend listening and repeating is an investment in your fluency. Stay with us until the end, follow the simple steps, and your English speaking will transform faster than you expect. Today marks the beginning of a journey where English stops being a challenge and starts becoming a natural skill. Listening carefully, repeating aloud, and practicing consistently are the keys, and you will learn exactly how to do it. Welcome to your path to confident English speaking. Many people can read English, understand what is being said, and even follow along in conversations, but the moment they try to speak, their mind goes blank, their words freeze, and sentences stumble out slowly or not at all. It feels as if the language is stuck somewhere between the brain and the mouth, and no matter how much you know, it never seems to flow naturally when you want to use it. This is a struggle that millions face, and it is often misunderstood because so many people think that learning English is only about memorizing words or learning grammar rules. People spend hours memorizing lists of vocabulary, reading textbooks, studying complicated grammar rules, and even trying to construct sentences perfectly in their head, thinking that these efforts will automatically lead to fluency. The truth is, this traditional method often creates more obstacles than it solves. Grammar rules are essential to understanding a language, but memorizing them and trying to apply them while speaking can overwhelm the mind. When the brain is busy checking tenses, conjugations, and sentence structures, it cannot focus on the natural flow of conversation. Memorized words and phrases can feel rigid, unnatural, and difficult to retrieve when speaking. It is one thing to recognize a word while reading or listening, and another to produce it instantly in conversation. This creates a frustrating cycle where learners understand everything they hear, can read perfectly, and yet cannot speak fluently. It is not a lack of intelligence or effort, it is simply the way the brain processes language. Speaking is a skill that involves muscle memory, rhythm, pronunciation, and timing, all of which are built through practice, not memorization. It is entirely possible to know all the words and rules in a language and still struggle to form a sentence when speaking. This is why so many learners feel stuck, discouraged, and even embarrassed when trying to communicate. It is not a reflection of their ability, it is simply a sign that their learning method does not engage the brain in the right way. The good news is that there is a method that can bypass these struggles, a method that allows your brain to absorb language naturally and effortlessly. This method is simple, practical, and highly effective. It is called the listen and repeat method, and it focuses on what the brain actually needs to become fluent. Repeated exposure to sounds, patterns, and sentences, combined with immediate verbal practice. The principle is straightforward. When you listen carefully to English being spoken and immediately repeat what you hear, your brain begins to recognize sounds, patterns, intonation, and stress in a way that is very similar to how children learn their first language. The more you repeat, the more your mouth and brain become connected in a seamless process. Pronunciation improves naturally, sentences start forming faster, and confidence grows, because the act of speaking becomes familiar and less intimidating. There is no need to memorize complex grammar rules or study for hours. By simply listening and repeating, your brain internalizes the language and your speech muscles learn the correct movements, making speaking smoother and more automatic. This method works for everyone, regardless of age, prior experience, or level of English knowledge. You do not need special materials or expensive courses. All you need is a willingness to practice, focus, and repeat what you hear. Even just 5 to 10 minutes a day of this practice is more effective than hours of traditional study, because consistency builds the neural pathways that lead to fluency. The steps are simple: and each one is designed to make the process clear, manageable, and engaging. The first step is to listen carefully. You must pay attention to every word, every syllable, and the way sentences are pronounced. This is not passive listening, where the mind drifts or focuses on translating words into your native language. It is active listening, where your brain is fully engaged in noticing sounds, rhythm, and intonation. Focus on how the speaker moves from word to word, where the stress falls, how sentences rise and fall like a melody. This listening stage is crucial because it lays the foundation for accurate repetition. The second step is to repeat aloud what you hear. This step requires courage and attention, but it is the core of the method. You do not need to speak perfectly at first, and mistakes are part of the learning process. The important thing is to imitate the sounds as closely as possible, copying pronunciation, stress, and rhythm. Your brain will gradually recognize patterns, and your mouth will learn the movements needed to produce the sounds correctly. The more closely you repeat, the faster your brain and mouth become synchronized. The third step is to copy intonation and rhythm. English is not just a collection of words, it has a melody, a natural flow that is different from other languages. Intonation, stress, and timing make sentences understandable and natural. By imitating these elements while repeating, you internalize the natural flow of English, and your speech starts to sound more native-like. You begin to speak with rhythm and confidence rather than stopping at every word to think about grammar. The fourth step is daily practice. It is better to practice a little every day than to spend long sessions occasionally. Daily repetition reinforces the neural pathways in your brain, making speaking more automatic. Even a few minutes each day accumulates over time, and each repetition strengthens your fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. Short, focused sessions work better than long, exhausting study hours. The sentences you practice should be short, clear, and easy to follow, especially at the beginning. As your confidence grows, you can gradually increase complexity. This method is not about speed. It is about accuracy, rhythm, and confidence. Even if progress seems slow at first, persistence brings visible improvement in a short time. Within days, you will notice words coming more naturally, sentences forming faster, and your speech feeling less stressful. Over weeks, your brain adapts to the patterns, your mouth forms sounds automatically, and speaking becomes much easier. Many learners are surprised by how quickly their ability grows once they focus on listening and repeating consistently. This method also bypasses the frustration of traditional learning. You do not need to worry about remembering endless grammar rules, correcting every mistake, or translating in your head. The brain learns language by doing, not by memorizing, and repetition creates the muscle memory that allows you to speak freely and confidently. You will begin to feel empowered as your voice matches the language you hear. It becomes natural, automatic, and enjoyable. As you practice, confidence grows, fear disappears, and communication becomes easier. You will also notice that your ability to understand spoken English improves alongside your speaking, because the brain links listening and speaking together. This integrated skill makes you more fluent in all aspects of English. You will also discover that this method can be applied anywhere, whether you are at home, commuting, or walking outside. Short, focused sessions of listening and repeating make a noticeable difference. You do not need special classes or tutors, your own effort is enough. Over time, the cumulative effect is astounding. Words that once seemed difficult will flow easily. Sentences will form naturally, and speaking English will no longer feel intimidating. The beauty of this approach is that it builds fluency without stress. Repetition strengthens your brain and mouth connection, making speech faster, more confident, and clear. Even beginners can experience significant improvement within weeks, and advanced learners can refine their pronunciation, speed, and natural rhythm. This method also adapts to individual learning styles. You can focus on sentences, phrases, or short dialogues, and adjust your pace according to comfort. Daily practice, careful listening, precise repetition, and attention to rhythm are all that is required.
Each day brings noticeable progress, and over time, your English speaking will transform in a way that feels natural and effortless. You will also notice that motivation grows as progress becomes tangible. Each sentence you repeat successfully builds confidence and encourages you to continue. Even small daily effort compounds into major improvement, showing that fluency is a result of consistent action, not talent or luck. This approach also teaches patience, focus, and discipline. By concentrating on listening and repeating, your brain develops the habit of processing English actively rather than passively. This habit eventually becomes automatic, so speaking, thinking, and understanding English feel connected and intuitive. Over time, this method reshapes your entire approach to language learning. You will no longer struggle to recall words, you will no longer be frustrated by frozen sentences, and you will no longer feel hesitant to speak. Your brain and mouth work together seamlessly, your listening and speaking improve in tandem, and your fluency grows steadily. The combination of careful listening, accurate repetition, attention to rhythm, and daily practice forms the foundation of confident, natural English speaking. This method also strengthens memory, auditory processing, and speech clarity, creating an overall improvement that affects all areas of communication. You will find that even conversations you once avoided become easier, and speaking English becomes a skill you use naturally in daily life. With every repeated sentence, your fluency improves, your confidence grows, and your connection to the language deepens. The method is simple, practical, and effective, making it accessible to everyone who is willing to listen, repeat, and practice consistently. Many learners of English often fall into common traps that slow down their progress and create frustration. One of the biggest mistakes is overthinking grammar while trying to speak. The brain becomes overwhelmed when it tries to check every rule, tense, or structure in real time, and this often causes hesitation or complete freezing during speech. Grammar is important, but focusing on it too much while speaking interrupts the natural flow of words. Another mistake is translating word by word from your native language into English. This approach creates sentences that sound unnatural and slow down fluency, and it prevents the brain from learning patterns and rhythm in English. The key is to focus on sounds, sentences, and communication rather than translating every word mentally. Mistakes are another area where learners struggle unnecessarily. Many people feel embarrassed or frustrated when they make errors while speaking, but mistakes are actually a vital part of the learning process. Each mistake is a signal for improvement, and repeated practice allows the brain to adjust and correct itself over time. Accepting mistakes as part of learning removes pressure and encourages more frequent speaking, which is exactly what builds fluency. Understanding these common mistakes is essential because avoiding them allows practice to be more effective and enjoyable. Once learners stop overthinking grammar, stop translating literally, and stop fearing mistakes, they can focus fully on listening and repeating, which is the most natural path to fluency. The results of this approach are steady and rewarding. Within 1 to 2 weeks of consistent listening and repeating, learners often notice small but significant improvements. Words start to come out more smoothly, pronunciation begins to feel more natural, and sentences begin forming more easily, without conscious effort. These initial improvements, though subtle, are extremely motivating because they show that the brain is learning to connect listening and speaking. Fluency, of course, does not happen overnight. It takes time, practice, and patience, but daily commitment to listening and repeating produces steady progress. Every single word repeated strengthens neural connections, reinforces pronunciation, and trains the mouth to produce English sounds naturally. The brain begins to anticipate patterns, and the process of speaking becomes more automatic. Even short sessions of practice, when repeated consistently, lead to dramatic long-term improvement. Motivation is essential to keep this process going, because learning a language is a gradual journey rather than an instant result. Every word you repeat, every sentence you imitate, brings you a step closer to fluency. Progress may seem slow at times, But persistence compounds over time, and small daily improvements accumulate into substantial growth. It is important to remember that consistency matters more than perfection. You do not need to speak flawlessly in the first days or weeks. You only need to practice regularly and accurately enough to reinforce learning. Starting today, even with one short sentence, is far more effective than waiting until you feel fully prepared. This approach builds both skill and confidence simultaneously. With regular repetition, speaking English gradually becomes more natural, and the fear of making mistakes decreases because the brain has practiced enough to produce correct forms more automatically. Even learners who feel they are at a beginner level can notice progress within a very short time if they apply the method consistently. Listening carefully, repeating aloud, and imitating the rhythm and intonation of English sentences engages the brain in a holistic way, connecting comprehension, pronunciation, and verbal output. Motivation is reinforced by the small wins along the way, whether it is successfully repeating a sentence for the first time, hearing your own improvement, or noticing that a conversation feels slightly easier than before. Each repetition strengthens fluency and self-confidence, and the sense of progress itself becomes a powerful driver to continue practicing. This method also helps learners develop patience and discipline because they learn to value the process rather than expecting immediate perfection. Progress is measurable in subtle changes at first, like smoother pronunciation, clearer rhythm, and increased confidence, and in more noticeable changes later, like forming longer sentences without hesitation and participating in conversations with less fear. Even small improvements provide motivation to continue, and the awareness that fluency grows incrementally encourages daily practice. Encouragement comes from understanding that every effort, no matter how small, contributes to long-term mastery. Daily repetition of listening and speaking creates a routine that reinforces learning in a natural way. The brain and mouth learn to work together, which is why this method is more effective than memorization or studying grammar in isolation. Even 5 minutes a day can produce measurable change over time because the learning is active, precise, and consistent. Many learners who once struggled with hesitation, mispronunciation, or incomplete sentences find that after just a few weeks of disciplined practice, they are speaking more confidently and clearly. The process also makes learners more aware of English sounds, intonation, and rhythm, which strengthens overall comprehension. Over time, speaking and understanding become more connected, which is essential for true fluency. The method also builds motivation because learners see evidence of their improvement frequently. Repetition not only trains the mouth, but also trains confidence. When mistakes are no longer feared, learners can speak more freely, take risks, and communicate more effectively. The simple act of daily listening and repeating, combined with a mindset that embraces mistakes as part of learning, allows fluency to grow naturally. Motivation is further supported by the knowledge that even small daily practice compounds into significant progress. As learners repeat words and sentences day by day, they notice their ability to respond faster, form sentences without hesitation, and convey ideas more clearly. The satisfaction of noticing improvement, no matter how small, encourages them to continue, reinforcing the habit and making learning sustainable. Each repetition strengthens memory, auditory processing, and speech clarity, creating a foundation that supports long-term mastery of English speaking. The approach is adaptable to individual schedules and learning levels, and it allows learners to see progress without being overwhelmed. Short, focused sessions accumulate into fluency over time, and the confidence gained from daily practice supports continued improvement. Every word spoken aloud, every sentence repeated, every intonation copied contributes to a gradual but powerful transformation in speaking ability. The combination of avoiding common mistakes, practicing consistently, and maintaining motivation creates a cycle where improvement fuels further improvement, and fluency becomes a natural result of persistent effort. Learners start to notice a change in the ease and confidence with which they communicate. They feel more comfortable attempting sentences, expressing ideas, and engaging in conversation. Over time, hesitation diminishes, and the brain begins to produce English automatically rather than pausing to translate or think. Each day reinforces fluency, making English speaking feel less like a challenge and more like a skill that can be used naturally. Motivation, persistence, and consistent practice create a framework where progress is inevitable. Learners realize that improvement is not about luck or talent, but about consistent action. The method emphasizes patience, repetition, and awareness, showing that even short daily efforts can lead to meaningful change. The sense of accomplishment grows as learners recognize that every repeated sentence strengthens both skill and confidence. Mistakes are reframed as learning opportunities rather than failures, which reduces fear and encourages speaking. This mindset, combined with daily listening and repeating, is the key to overcoming hesitation and developing natural fluency. Over time, learners notice that speaking becomes easier, smoother, and more enjoyable. They gain the confidence to attempt more complex sentences, engage in conversations, and express themselves clearly. Motivation is maintained by celebrating small wins and acknowledging daily progress. Consistency in practice ensures that each step taken today contributes to the fluency achieved tomorrow. The process is both practical and empowering, allowing learners to actively shape their language ability while building confidence and competence simultaneously. Even when challenges arise, the habit of daily repetition, attention to rhythm, and focus on clear communication helps learners overcome obstacles and continue improving steadily. Each day reinforces learning, each word repeated strengthens fluency, and each sentence spoken aloud builds confidence. The cumulative effect of these consistent, focused efforts is remarkable, and learners often find themselves speaking English more naturally and comfortable than they thought possible. This method also encourages a proactive, engaged approach to learning that is sustainable over the long term. Daily practice, attention to mistakes, and mindful repetition create an environment where fluency develops gradually but reliably. Learners notice subtle improvements in pronunciation, intonation, rhythm, and confidence, all of which compound to produce more noticeable change over time. Motivation and persistence are central to this process, and even small daily efforts have a powerful cumulative impact. Speaking English becomes less intimidating, mistakes become opportunities, and confidence grows steadily. The combination of avoiding overthinking, avoiding literal translation, accepting mistakes, practicing consistently, and staying motivated creates a framework for ongoing improvement and fluency. Over time, learners experience a transformation in their speaking ability, their confidence, and their overall comfort with English. The process is natural, practical, and effective, demonstrating that consistent listening, repeating, and practicing, combined with the right mindset, leads to continuous, measurable progress. Fluency emerges as a result of repeated, focused